It's very hard to get money before you open. It is so easy to get money after you open and you got some sales and you have a track record. You've been open for 6 months and you're taking credit cards and your sales are growing month over month. They'll line up to give you money. And we can have a whole other conversation about that because some of it's good and a lot of it is really bad. It's very predatory out there in the lending world. So be careful. What's going on, Pizza fam? Welcome back to another episode of Pizza King Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tyrell Reed, and we are here to give you tips, tricks on growing your pizzeria, being more profitable, building better teams, developing better leaders, all things that go into that. And today's episode is no different. We are still celebrating National Pizza Month. And today I really want to revisit something that we talked about a couple of times, but I think it's worth bringing back just because it's always relevant. Information is always changing. And you know, our industry is continuing to grow. So I wanted to just kind of give a rundown on what I would do if I were starting a pizza business today, like how I would do that from concept to grand opening. And I'm just going to reference my book, Idea to Open, which is a step-by-step guide to opening your first pizzeria. So I'm going to use that and just kind of run down the list with you all here today. But before I do that, I need you to do me one favor. If you're listening to this, just hit pause, go leave us 5 stars, go leave us a review, go leave us a rating. It helps us get seen by more operators just like you. Share this episode, but if just your feedback alone helps us get put out there, pushed out there and seen by more folks and more operators. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button and share it with somebody. It helps us so much. And I really appreciate it. So with that being said, let's get into today's episode. I spent the last 23 years in the pizza business. It's 2025. Yeah. I have been a multi-unit franchise owner. I have been a franchise executive. I've been a general manager. I've been an assistant manager. I've been a shift leader. I've been the full-time pizza maker. I've been front of house staff. I've been the dishwasher, all of it, every single position from dishwasher to franchise owner to franchise executive. And even now continuing to help pizzeria owners and operators start, grow, and scale their businesses. So now we got the resume out of the way. We can just get into what it looks like and what I would do if I were starting a pizzeria today, if I was crazy enough to get myself back into this business. It starts with first developing a concept. Actually, let's do this. Let's just run down because there's really like 10 steps to it. I'll run down the 10 steps just so you know right away what we're getting into. So the first thing is developing a concept, like conceptualizing your pizzeria. Then we create a business plan. Then we start to understand what startup costs look like. We talk about compliance and permitting. Then it's finding the right location, designing your pizzeria, crafting your menu, hiring and training your team, marketing and promotion, which is important before we even open. And then we talk about grand opening and then operating the store beyond that. So those are our 10 steps to taking your pizzeria from idea to open. And that's what I'll run down for you today. So the first thing is let's just develop a concept. Like, what's going to make your pizzeria unique? What kind of experience do you want to create for your customers? Because that's going to go a long way into developing your concept. What are the long-term goals that you have for your business? Are you doing New York style pizza? Are you doing Neapolitan style pizza? Are you doing Detroit style? Or do you want a dine-in, place with, 100 seats and a bar and you're going to serve wine? Or do you want just a delivery carry out? All of those things matter when it comes to choosing your concept, because like I always say, every one of those words has a cost associated to it. So let's decide who we are and, build our identity before we get further down the road. Let's try to understand what that looks like. Decide what kind of ambiance you want. Decide what kind of neighborhood you think best fits your concept, and then start to, design a menu around that. So the first step is deciding a concept. What kind of pizzeria we're going to do. So if it's me, I want New York style pizza, delivery, just a straight delivery carry out location, no dining, very small footprint, New York style, something I can do with a nice, easy, direct dough and simple menu. Not very big at all. I want a small menu, New York style pizza, hitting it with the traditional stuff. Also what goes into that is understanding your market, like who your target market is. If you want the higher end, pizza experience for your customers, then you need to understand what market you need to be in. How old are they? What is their income level? What do they normally like to eat? What are the dietary restrictions of my target customer? So then that helps you gather all of the market data that you need to find to make a decision on your concept. So this is the step. It says they're performing market research and analysis will help you make more informed decisions about your pizzeria. So do a competitive analysis, look at your competitors, analyze their strengths, analyze their weaknesses, visit their establishments, go eat there, review the menu, and note their pricing strategies. This is going to help you make decisions. Customer surveys, conduct surveys and focus groups, gather feedback from potential customers, talk to your people. Like if you've been making pizza at home or you've been doing pop-ups, ask your customers where they think you should be. Where do they like to go? If people are rocking with you on the street, like who are some of the other places that you like to go to? Like start to understand what their preferences are and what they look for in an actual pizzeria experience. And then do a location analysis, research potential locations, analyze factors such as foot traffic, parking availability, nearby businesses, schools, churches, community centers. Consider the demographics of the area and ensure that they align with who your target customer is, because you don't want to end up in an area that can't afford your product, or you don't want to end up in an area that doesn't respect your product or doesn't value your product because it's too cheap. So it, could go both ways. You just want to make sure that you do the proper research to understand where you're going. And then once you understand that, you can start going into the next step, which is crafting your business plan. Now, a business plan that's the roadmap for your business. Like I know a lot of people have started without a business plan. I know that. I started without a business plan. I know a lot of people who have been incredibly successful and they just took a chance and they just jumped out there and they did it. Yes, it can work. No, I do not recommend it. Do a business plan. Try to understand what you're getting yourself into before you get there. Simple things, pro formas, break even analysis, sales projections, expenses, all these things matter. And if you don't understand it, if you haven't done it before, then I highly recommend spending the time to craft a business plan. And look, if I'm being honest, if you can't even take the time to craft a business plan before you get open, there's no way that you're going to do all of the administrative things that you need to do after you get open, because it doesn't just stop at as soon as you open the doors and then you never have to worry about what a P&L looks like or what projections look like or how to establish a budget and, how are we performing versus break even. Oh, it still matters every single day after that. So you might as well get started now, build your business plan. So listen, you got, talk about who, and honestly, if you're not just cashing out and doing this on your own, you're going to need a business plan anyways, because if you've gotten any value out of this episode or any of our other episodes, I need you to do me a favor. Go leave us a review. Every review on Apple, every 5-star rating on Spotify helps this show find more operators just like you and helps them get that same value that you're taking away from this episode. And as a thank you, anytime somebody leaves a review, sends me a screenshot, just DM me a screenshot of your review, I'm going to send you a free gift, something awesome, something cool. I'll send you a gift, whoever leaves a review. That's the challenge. Go leave a review, DM me a screenshot of it, and then I'll get you something. I got you something special from your boy. Now let's get back into the episode. Peace. You're not going to get funding without it. So you need to have an executive summary. Who are your people? Who's in charge of this? Who's making the decisions for this company? What's your company? How's your company structured? What are your goals? What is the vision statement and mission? What are your short and long-term goals in this pizza business? How much data do you have and research have you done on the market that you intend to go into? How's the organization structured? What's your management plan going to look like? What products are you serving and how do those offerings align with, your unique selling proposition? Like what makes your business unique? What's your marketing strategy? What's your sales strategy? Like All of these things start to matter. And if you haven't taken the time to answer these questions, then you're just going to be winging it when the doors get open. You should have a comprehensive business plan that outlines your visions, strategies, and financial projections. This plan will serve as the roadmap to opening and running a successful pizza business. That's just right there in Baltimore. Listen, and I'll give you this. I sell it, but I will give it to you. If you hear this and you're listening or you're watching, if you send me a message, email me info@tyrellreed.com and say, listen, I want the roadmap. Give me the idea to open. I'll send you a copy. Or you can go buy it if you want to support. Go buy it. It's on the website, tyrellreed.com. Now we done that. We built our concept. We started to put together a business plan. Now it's time to start looking at, how we use that business plan to get funding. But before we can get funding, we need to understand what our startup costs are. And that also is like the next part. First, you build your plan, you have your projections. Now we need to understand what it's going to cost us to do it. So before you can secure financing, it's crucial to understand the startup costs. Now, these are the expenses that you'll incur before and during the initial stages of opening your pizzeria. Typical startup costs include leasing and purchasing of a property, construction and renovations, equipment, FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, licenses and permits, initial inventory and training inventory, which is a big expense, marketing and advertising, big expense. It starts long before you open your doors, and then having some working capital and building yourself some runway while you grow towards profitability, you really grow towards break even and then profitability beyond that. So you got to create a detailed list of these costs to determine the amount of financing that you need. So listen, on the low end, I'm talking 50, 75K. If you got if you got a second gen space, it's already got equipment in it. All you need to do is go in there, put some lipstick on the pig and get it back open, 50K. 50K is a place that doesn't need anything. You put a little money in the bank, you got yourself some runway. You're taking over a business that's been struggling, but it's got everything that you need. That's low end, 50,000. High end, you can go $500,000 or more building a pizzeria. Dude, the sky's the limit on how high you can go, but I would say on average, you're probably looking at $500,000 or so. Exploring financing options. So obviously you can fund this yourself through your personal, savings and accounts. I don't recommend that. You can go the bank route, but it's tough for new businesses, especially for restaurants. Listen, restaurants are so risky for banks because restaurants usually fail most of the time. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's like 6 out of 10 fail within the first 3 years, and 8 out of 10 fail within the first 5 years. So the banks got better odds putting their money on the crap table, 50-50. Like seriously, like it's that risky for them. So that's where your business plan comes in. You need to have a solid plan. You can go the investor route and use investors' capital and venture capital to do it. You can go the crowdfunding, way with platforms like Kickstarter or, GoFundMe, things like that are resources for crowdfunding. But typically you do it on a shoestring budget. You come with some financing after you're open. Listen, here's what they don't tell you. It's very hard to get money before you open. It is so easy to get money after you open and you got some sales and you have a track record. You've been open for 6 months and you're taking credit cards and your sales are growing month over month. They'll line up to give you money. And we can have a whole other conversation about that because some of it's good and a lot of it's really bad. It's very predatory out there in the lending world. So be careful. But just some quick tips for a successful loan application. Prepare a strong business plan. Lenders want to see that you have a well thought out plan for your pizzeria. Improve your credit score. A good credit score increases your chances for securing a loan with favorable terms. Get a good credit score. Have collateral. Do I recommend risking your house to open a pizza business? Absolutely not. But if you have some assets that you can use as collateral that are not gonna totally bankrupt your family, use that. Showcase your experience. Experience goes a long way in determining how successful you can be. So if you have experience in the pizza business, use that to you put that forward, push your experience forward because it lowers your chances of failure. And then be transparent, be honest about your financial situation and your business prospects. Like lenders appreciate transparency and realistic projections. You might be asking for something and you may think that you need $250,000 And then they look at your plan and they understand your experience and your concept and your idea. Listen, banks see these things all the time. You're not the first pizzeria to come through there. Get their advice. You may only need 175,000, and then that's something that's more doable for them. So you just have to talk to them and build a relationship. I recommend building a relationship with a bank. So once you get funding, now it's time to find your location and deal with all the drama that comes with growing, or excuse me, with building a pizza business, the compliance and the permitting. So you got to choose a business structure, right? That's the first thing, is choosing a structure, whether you have a sole proprietor, you got an LLC, you're a partner, you're S Corp, C Corp, all these things. Talk to your attorney. Make sure you choose the right structure for your business. That makes a difference when it comes time for filing and paying taxes. How do you pay yourself? How do you draw your paycheck? Are you on the payroll? Are you taking quarterly draws? Are you just doing profit distributions? Like, all these things matter. And it all comes down to how you're structured, on what your options are for doing that legally and without overtaxing yourself. You can get on payroll and then somehow you end up in a double taxation situation. So just do what's smart, talk to somebody and get some advice. Then you have to register your business, choose a name, filing your registration with the Department of State and the IRS and all these different things. So the Department of Revenue. So you just want to make sure that you get all that right. You need to understand whether you need to have state and city permits and licenses. Every city is a little bit different. Here where I am, I need my articles of incorporation from the Department of State. I need my sales tax certificate from the Department of Revenue. I need a county certificate from Hillsborough County, a business tax license from Hillsborough County. I need a city of Tampa local permit from the city. And these are all obtained through different entities. So you have to understand the process and get them all. I need a hotel and restaurant license from the Department of Business Professional Regulation, DBPR. That's 5 different licenses, 5 different things just right there. So you need to understand exactly where you are and what the rules and regulations are and how that affects, especially a food business, because it's going to be different. Business licenses, health department permits, food handler permits, signage permits, if you need to do that, beverage licenses. All these things play a part, and they take time. So you need to understand it early. Even before you find your location, you need to understand what you're going to need and who you need to get it from, because it's going to cost you so much time and money later on. So you need to understand it early so you can start the process. Some of them may be a 2-week process. Some of them may be a 2-month process. So you understand why it's important to do it early, right? Then you start, you get going down the road and you want to look for your location. Look, find the perfect location for your concept. So there's a lot of factors to consider when you're looking for a location. Does it have visibility and accessibility? Like, can you see it from the road? Is it easy to find? Is it easy to access? What are the demographics? Have you done the research and understand what the foot traffic is, or what the traffic counts are on the street? Are there any schools nearby? Is it a downtown district? Like, where am I going to get my customers from? That's really the main question. Look for competitors in the market. Is there any competition in the area? If there's some competition, that's sometimes can be an indicator of a strong market. Just depends. Sometimes you may be the first one there, and it's untapped potential. So you just have to understand it well enough, and then you start to understand and look for lease terms and what that costs. Evaluating the cost of a lease or purchasing a property can be, the biggest difference. Like, in doing it, sometimes you can buy a property and it's gonna work out for you just fine. Sometimes you may not have the opportunity to buy, and you have to sign a lease and do a 5-year lease or a 10-year lease or a 10 and 10. Like, there's so many different ways to do it. So, you need to understand that and then start to negotiate. I always recommend running just a quick and dirty break even on a property before you even get there. If you got your concept and you've built your business plan and you understand, like, you have a general idea what your pizzeria is gonna look like and gonna operate like, you can do a quick and dirty break even and understand that this is viable. Like, I like to run it on my break even calculator, where I'll just plug in the rent. I know my average pizza price, $25. So then I'll plug it in, this is the rent. My average pizza is $25. It says I need to sell 1,200 pizzas a week to break even. Can I do that? All right, is this viable for me? If it is, we go forward. If it's not, we just scrap that one because I can't afford it. I know we can't sell that much food. Can't afford, not going to do it. So just understanding like little stuff makes a difference. There's a little section on just negotiating lease agreements and what those look like. Honestly, let's just talk about it because it could be one of the biggest differences on how much money you have when it's time to really operate. Like how much operating capital and working capital you end up with can be based on how you negotiate your lease up front. Negotiating a favorable lease agreement can save you money and provide flexibility considering the following tips. So understand that there's different types of leases. Gross leases where the landlord pays for property expense. And then there's nets like triple net where the tenant pays for property expenses. You get a triple net, you need to understand that common area maintenance, water is probably shared. These things that sometimes in a gross lease situation, the property owner pays for and you get it. That's an added benefit if you can find that. But oftentimes you're going to end up with a triple net where you're going to end up incurring those costs. And sometimes they split it out month to month. A lot of times they just reconcile at the end of the year and send you a bill. And I've gotten that bill many times and it's like, all right, well, we got an extra $2,000 we got to pay this month because the insurance went up and they decided that they wanted to paint the building and they did new mulch and new landscape and all. And you share that cost with the other tenants in the center. So negotiating terms such as rent, lease duration is important. Like, renewal option. Do you want a 5-year lease? Can you save some money by taking a 10-year lease with a 10-year renewal? Can you negotiate some tenant improvement money? TI money is huge. That can be all your working capital right there. If you can get 100,000 in tenant improvement, 50, 200,000, not unheard of. Very, very, very easy to do. Now, these are still expenses that come out of your pocket up front, but you get reimbursed. And that could make a huge difference for you. So aim for favorable terms that protect your interests and the landlord. Look for something that's common ground, but seek professional help. Talk to a real estate attorney. Talk to a broker. Brokers are very smart in these situations. Talk to a broker to ensure that you understand what you're getting into. Don't just sign a lease, especially one with a personal guarantee without understanding what you're getting into. So once you got that decided, you found your space, you signed your lease. Now, if I'm doing it, I'm looking for a second gen space every time. That's just me. I'm cheap. Call me. It is what it is. I'm looking for a second gen space, and then I'm betting on my ability to understand the market and turn that business around and get it to break even or better, so that I can flip it and sell it. That's just me. That's just how I think, how I operate. But I only operate in places I know, in areas that I understand. But I'm looking for a second gen space, preferably something that's already got pizza equipment in it. That's even better. Like if it's an old pizzeria that unfortunately failed, or, maybe the lease terms expired and they didn't want to move it, and like whatever. There's a lot of different reasons that these things happen. I'm looking for that because that's the fastest way to get open, the easiest way to do. However, as long as it's got a hood, it's got gas lines, it's got a bathroom, I can figure the rest out. So then it's time to design, like, what's your ambiance going to look like? How much seating and what's your flow? I like to start from flow. Like, how is my kitchen going to flow? The other stuff really is secondary to that. Ensuring that we have proper flow in the kitchen and that we have space for the dry storage is going to be number one for me. Where's my refrigeration going to be? Where's my grill going to go? Where's my oven? Where my make lines are going to be? Where's my cut table? I'm thinking about that. What are my customers going to see when they come in? So then you have a good design in your mind, and then it's time to shop for furniture and equipment, fixtures and equipment, selecting tables, chairs, booths to match your theme. Consider materials that are easy to clean and maintain. Don't just buy. You can just get cheap stuff. Listen, one of the greatest business out there is the used restaurant equipment business, because they literally buy stuff for pennies on the dollar and then they sell it to you. It's a great business, but you can save some money. You can save some money by shopping. Look, there's a lot. I was just talking to a guy yesterday, and he was telling me that he used to own a couple of Quiznos locations, and he still goes to the centers where they were, and neither one of them are Quiznos, but one of them still got all the Quiznos stuff, and it's just fine. It's like a Chinese restaurant or a pita place or some shit. It doesn't matter. Like I bought you go to these, I shop, I'm in Tampa, so I go to Fabian's, but I can always count on finding something. Like I got an old trash can that came out of a Krispy Kreme or something. And, I just paint it and make it my own. You don't have to buy everything new. So furniture is one of those things. I don't mind buying used furniture, tables, chairs, all day long, trash cans all day long, prep tables all day long. Kitchen equipment is a little bit different for me. I like warranties. Here's what you understand after being in the business for a couple of decades. Something's going to happen. Refrigeration ain't made to last forever. It ain't even made to last a long time. It's always going to break down. I like warranties because warranties save you money because repair and maintenance is a real expense. That's it's in your budget every single month. It's going to happen. So buy new equipment, new cooking equipment. Ovens can't go cheap on. Mixer can't go cheap on. You can get a good, I shouldn't say that because you can get a good used mixer. Hobart's built to last as long as you buy from a reputable brand. We had Ryan Giffen in a couple of weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, and he's from Commercial Kitchen Stop down in South Florida, and they have a whole refurbished business, but he's very, very trustworthy, very reputable. If I were shopping from him, I'd do it. Am I going to buy a Hobart mixer off the street? Absolutely not. But I will buy one from a vendor who I know has done their due diligence and took care of the product, or they rebuilt the motor, or they did the oil changes and they tested it and they know it's of good working quality. Listen, those mixers are built to last. I worked in a shop, my first shop here in Riverview. That mixer was from the 60s and it's still there. It's still there. So they're made to last 40, 50, 60 years. Like, it's not, you just have to do the maintenance on them. Same with ovens. Although I do like what's going on now with ovens, and electric ovens are providing a lot more flexibility and when it comes to cooking power and recovery time, things like that. So I'm loving what's happening with the electric decks. But also, as long as you know where you're getting it from, you can save a little bit of money if you can find a good used deck or a good used conveyor, like depending on what your style is. If you got wood fire or you're doing something like that, you're probably going to break the bank on an oven. So just understand that. So now we got our concept. We got our space. We started to design it. We're in the construction phase. Let's start to put our menu together and source our ingredients. So before you can actually start pricing your menu, you actually need to understand what your costs are going to look like. You need to know who your vendors are. Like, are you going to run the Restaurant Depot every day, every other day for your stuff? Then you need to be in Restaurant Depot every day, looking at prices, understanding the fluctuations, because prices change. Sometimes day to day, depending on the products. You need to understand what your costs are going to look like so that you can start to price your menu. I recommend go find the distributor, go find the PFG in your town, or the Cheney or the Cisco or the US Foods. They'll work with you. They may not give you great terms up front, but it doesn't hurt to ask for 7 days, ask for 14, so that you can get it going. So once you have an account, if you have Benny Keith, like all these places, once you have an account, you can start to look through their inventory and their products and start to build out what your menu is going to look like. I recommend costing out everything so that you're pricing yourself for profit. You can price yourself out of the game just by thinking, I just want to make I'm just going to sell pizzas for $10. And then you start buying all your ingredients and your pizza costs you $7.50 to make. You lost. You lost. So you need to do your research first so that you understand how you need to price. Having a good system for that is important. And, just build a spreadsheet out, start to log your ingredients, and then start to understand what the cost. You want to make sure you're sourcing quality ingredients. Using quality ingredients is crucial for creating this delicious pizza. Local suppliers, to me, is going to be your best option for fresh quality products. Look for local suppliers to get fresh things. Make sure they have great quality standards. Like, establish some quality standards for yourself when it comes to these ingredients. Ensure suppliers meet these standards too. You guys are working together so you can have these conversations, and then consider how sustainable it is to work with that supplier. Like, are they going to be here long term for me? Is this something that I can get year round? Is this something that I can afford now, but it's going to cost way too much later on? Like, you need to understand that. And then it's time to start testing and experimenting. Like, start with some small orders, start testing your stuff out, building it out at home. And then once you can get into the store and test, you already have it ready. So we got our place, we got our menu. We know what we're doing. We're doing New York style pizza. We're keeping it very simple. Probably only about 7 or 8 toppings. We have our cheese. We know we're using Stanislaus tomatoes. We're using grande cheese like every other pizza shop in the country. Nothing new there. But now it's time to put it all together. Like we got our menu. We know we got our cool names. We got our menu, all our items right. I did all my costing. All that's done. Now we got to start hiring a team and getting ready to open this restaurant. Construction's there, or construction's nearing completion. We're probably 6 weeks out. Now is when I'm going to start to hire people and build out my team. The first thing I encourage you to do is clearly define the roles and responsibilities that you're going to need. You need kitchen staff. Do you need front of house staff? Do you need managers? Do you need prep cooks, chefs, grill cooks? You need servers. Do you not need servers? Do you need bussers? Like what do you need to run this restaurant? We're small. So all we need front of house staff. We need cashiers for the front to answer phone calls. We probably won't even do phones now with AI, but we still need some front of house staff to cash customers out. We need back of house. We need a kitchen manager. We need pizza cooks, and we need just like dishwashers, bussers. Then you post those jobs, create your jobs, define the roles and responsibilities, write job descriptions, use AI, get on ChatGPT and make it. Write your job posts, write your postings, advertise them on the job boards, on social media, get on Indeed. Like there's all these different places to post your jobs. Start networking, start going to job fairs, start visiting other pizzerias, but then you got to start interviewing people and building out what your team's going to look like, because you're going to have to start training soon. So I recommend using a structured interview process with a set list of questions to ensure consistency, so that you can identify the qualities that you're looking for. Behavioral questions like, do they have, problem solving abilities? Like, I'm hiring for attitude, and then I'll train the skill. Check their references. Like, really take the time. This is when you have the most time to qualify your candidates, to qualify your team. This is when you have the most time to do it. So now is when you should. This is that first hire, that first manager could be the most important person you bring on. And I certainly recommend hiring the manager first, and then working together to build out the rest of the team. And once you have everybody hired, or you have your manager hired, and you have a few parts of your team put together, it's time to start planning the training. So now we start training. We got orientation, we got on the job training, and there's ongoing training. Orientation, introduce people to the place, to the pizzeria, to our policies. We always establish our policies. We have a handbook. We talk about procedures. We give a tour, and then we start to teach everyone their roles and responsibilities. First 3 days is important for training. First 3 shifts is what locks it in for them. So we always go short shifts. The first 3, we're not doing too much, a little bit at a time, small bites. And then we start preparing for like a VIP or a grand opening. Create a positive and work environment from the beginning. We talk a lot. Obviously, I talk a lot about training. I talk a lot about training and development. It's so important, because that's the heartbeat of your business. Who spends the most time in your restaurant? Your staff. You and your team spend more time there than any customer. So we need to put some focus on that. Having a good communication plan. Maintain open and transparent communication with your staff. Like, encourage feedback, address concerns directly and promptly. Like, have a recognition program. I can't stress this enough. Nothing's more important than having recognition in place. It does not have to be big. It doesn't have to be some grand employee of the month. We had a party. Like, no, it can be small. Good job. I seen that. Hey, I saw that pie. That was amazing. That was beautiful. Hey, I heard you on the phone with that customer. That was a good job walking them through that. It sounded like it was getting real hard over there. Recognition doesn't have to be hard. Does not have to be hard, but you do have to do it. All right. So now no, I'm just kind of going through this quickly, because I want to hit all the points. So we got our concept. We found our space. We built our business plan. We got funding that we needed. We built our menu out. We started to hire staff. We're in the training process. But what did we forget? Oh, we haven't done any marketing. Now here's the deal. Marketing, like building your brand and marketing has so many different layers, but it's important. What's important is what you do before you open. How do you build anticipation for you want to open busy? This is something I learned from my time at Fuzzy's. You want to build up some anticipation for your opening so that you can open busy. Yes, it's hectic, But honestly, it's going to be hectic anyways. I'd rather be hectic and busy than hectic and slow. So you want to build some momentum up, build some anticipation for your opening. Best thing you can do, get your sign up as early as possible. That means securing sign permit, finding a sign vendor, getting permit, getting your design, getting everything approved and paid for as early as possible. As soon as you get your space, you should work on your sign. Get the sign up because your windows are going to be blacked out or, have newspaper on them for months while they do construction if you're doing that. But that sign is going to be up there shining bright all of those months. Get that sign up and get that sign on as early as you possibly can. Get your now hiring banner or whatever you're going to do. If you're doing it online, that's marketing. And all of your job listings, you should have a section that is talking about who your brand is and what you're about. It should start there. That's marketing. That's branding. That's building anticipation. Social media is big. Document the process from start to finish. Oh, this is, you can long before you open, as soon as you have your concept, secure your domains, secure your social media and start to document the progress. Builds anticipation that tells your story. It starts to, develop what your brand voice looks like, and your target audience starts to flock towards you when you do it that way. I'm all about doing it as early and as often as you can. And then as you get closer to opening, you get more into, how do we get into some of the traditional methods? Like, are we going to do a grand opening? Are we going to have a mailer? Are we going to, get some radio press and things like that? You start to have those options, but first you build your presence. You start to build some anticipation. But I'm telling you, nothing's better than having that sign up. People want to try to open that door. As soon as they see something going on, like if you're in a busy area, they see something happening, they want to know. Like people will start to know. So then, Facebook communities and boards and Reddit and all these things, like there's so many places to be in. You have time before you open. This is when you have time. Get in there, interact, engage, because that's going to create anticipation for your opening. I promise you. Have an online presence, do all those things. And then you start to promote a grand opening. I love a good grand opening. I love from my time in my role with Fuzzies, those grand openings we had, 100 people lined up outside the door every time. That was huge. That always felt like a win. And we did that with, hey, first 100 people get, t-shirts. First 100 people enter to win free burritos for a year, free tacos for a year, like doing something big. This like a big grand gesture for grand opening is great. Make it a party, make it an event. Like it's a big deal. This is a big deal. You just went through figuring out a concept, building out a business plan, going back and forth with bankers, getting denied 100 times till somebody gave you the money, finding the right space. I looked at 50 different properties until I found this one. I talked to 200 people just to hire these 12 kids. This is a big deal. Let's have a party. So make it big. You can do, enlist the local media. You always want to make sure you get, write the press releases, get the community involved, but have some kind of, event out there. And look, it can be as relative, make it relative to who you are and to your personality and your budget. But I like grand gestures. So have a big grand opening. It'll help you. It'll help you launch yourself into, but make sure that you still focus on doing it right. The execution matters too. Grand opening, you get a little bit of forgiveness because it's a little bit hectic, especially if you do I'm a big fan of doing like friends and family or a VIP night where you just kind of give food away. Here's a pro tip. So VIP night, friends and family. So before you even done that, you've already built your social media. You've already started your, your Google page and your Yelp account and your TripAdvisor and your, all these things. You got your stuff. Now you're going to, hey, we're getting ready to open, next week. We just want to do a test run. We got our pies ready. The ovens are hot. The staff is ready. They've been dying to make some pies. Come on by. We're doing it from 6 to 8 tonight. Free pizza, bring a friend, doors are going to close at 8:00, but come on in. Let everybody come. Put that QR code on the table and let them leave you a review for that free food. Free food is always 5 stars. Stock your pond with 5-star reviews with a friends and family in a VIP night. Now you're starting to leverage SEO and searchability and visibility on those platforms because you're starting to get reviews and rankings. Don't tell nobody I told you that, but free food is always 5 stars. So now we made it to grand opening. We got our pond stocked with 5-star reviews. Yelp, everybody love us on Yelp because we just gave them free pizza and it was delicious. And you control the experience with that. You don't have to make your harder stuff. Just do cheese pizzas, free slices, like whatever. Make it easy for yourself, but give your team some practice and then make it short. Now you're ready to just get open, grand opening and beyond. Listen, make sure you stock your inventory up. Make sure your staff is ready. If you want to execute a successful grand opening, you have to start really pushing the customer service. Provide exceptional experience for each person during this time. It's going to be hard on your staff, but listen, it's going to be hard on your staff no matter what. Don't let your customers see your hard. Don't let them see that frustration. Make sure that their experience is above and beyond, and you'll start to work the kink outs on the back end in time. But get feedback. Talk to your customers, stay out there, stay present, stay visible, especially as the owner. And then you got it from there. And then, it's just about growing from beyond that. But I just gave you, listen, legit 30, 40 minutes of how I would do it if I were going to start a pizzeria today. Some people may have different opinions. That's fine. But let me know what you think about it. And until next time, we'll holler at you. We'll be back tomorrow. National Pizza Month. We're still going. Pizza King Podcast. Peace.